Hi, Amy.
Howdy.
Yesterday we watched 90 Day Fiancé UK Season 4, Episode 6.
We did.
I'd like to start off with an apology, Shannon, because when we were recording the last episode, which was the 5 episodes compiled in one, we talked about how Shannon is not learning Turkish and this is very foolish of her. She should be doing so. And she has been. We do see her make a great attempt. It seems like she's speaking very, very well. I didn't hear any kind of English inflection to her Turkish words.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's learning.
Her pronunciation seemed to be really on point.
Yeah. So kudos to Shannon for learning, for speaking, for doing. And I felt that deserved an apology.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Sorry to Shannon for the judgment and for being wrong. And, I actually enjoy being corrected.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's good to be wrong for such a reason as this.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I was wrong about, which I'm happy to be wrong about, is Finn. Because in this episode, we see him take on some real fatherly qualities. He really grows a lot, which shows me depth and capability that we had not really given him credit for before. So
Again, I agree.
another.
Yes.
Sorry, Finn. You didn't deserve that. And you are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go.
I was really surprised at the immense amount of character development that we saw in this episode alone.
Yeah.
Really surprised. Pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely.
Again,
I like this.
the UK producers, they know what's up,
I know.
which is, actually letting people be who they are and letting their character come out naturally and not fabricating as much drama as what they do in the US. Obviously, we don't know what's actually true and what's not. Again, this is just so enjoyable.
Yes, it is. So let's get to the good stuff. First, 1, rate, review, and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast. 2, watch the podcast on YouTube at 90 Day Fiancé. Honestly, let's do this.
All right.
Sarah and Marco, new couple. She's 31. He's 37. He is in Italy. So Sarah is very active. She likes running, climbing, dancing, tennis. And when we were watching all of these activities that she likes to engage in, I thought, is this going to come back to bite her in the bum later on? Because why are they making such a strong point about all these activities?
I feel like we have a lot of couples that are introduced who really enjoy activities, and it's not all of them that result in an issue within their relationship because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Though I definitely smelled this one from a mile away.
Yes. So Marco, she met while she was on holiday in Italy. They fell in love very quickly in the matter of a couple of weeks, and they got engaged just 3 months ago. I'm not sure of the time difference between them actually meeting and getting engaged. Did you catch that?
No, that was my first question, is how long have they been seeing each other for? He proposed 3 months ago, but what's the actual timeline?
I'd like to know that. I really think that that's going to be critical information the more that we get to know Sarah. And that engagement is still a secret. It's a secret from her friends and her family because she says she would like him to talk to her dad to ask for his blessing before they announce it so that her father is in the loop and he allows the proposal to take place even though it has already happened. And that way Sarah feels really good about this. Marco has not done this.
Another question
Why?
is, has she asked him to do that, or is she just sitting back and waiting for him to do it without communicating? We don't know.
I got the impression, though it wasn't stated explicitly, as you said, that she had talked to Marco about wanting this particular sequence of events to take place. And she's still waiting for, so it's a little bit of a disappointment that he's not doing it.
And that it's been 3 months.
Yes. So perhaps I'm mistaken. It could be that she hasn't communicated that to him, but I do feel like it has already transpired. And he is, for some reason, not doing it. Why?
Probably because he doesn't see the point, because she's already said yes.
Okay, but still, it's important to her.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just, my antenna are going up with this couple right away. And I'm trying to figure out what it is that I'm feeling, what my instincts are telling me and why, but we have so little information. One of the things that we do find out is that Marco does have a jealousy issue. Now, we've seen this with other couples. Sometimes it just is a thing that goes away, but I don't think so in this case.
I also don't think so. I saw this as a glaring red flag factory Jealous
Yes.
about her dancing, which is one of her favorite hobbies, jealous about her friendship with his best friend. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yike.
Is this trust issues? Is this insecurity issues? Like, what's going on here? Has she given you any reason to question her loyalty, her faithfulness, and his friend? Has his friend been known to try to snatch women out from under him?
Not much of
It
a
just
friend.
seems like a very strange dynamic.
It is very strange. Adding on to that strangeness, he wants to marry her as soon as possible so that they can be together all the time. Now, this to me sounds like control
Hmm.
and a lack of security, lack of self confidence in the relationship. Does he just want to stick this label on her, wife, so that he can then either send out a signal to the world through her ring or through her saying, I'm married, that she's taken?
Hmm.
The other issue that came up for me is marriage really going to make his jealousy go away? I don't think so. Does he think that being married to her will give him permission to tell her what she can and can't do? I certainly hope not. And even more worrisome than that is the fact that she has dated controlling men in the past. And this guy seems to fit that pattern to a T.
Hmm.
Whoops.
And he keeps saying that the distance is the problem and his jealousy will go away when they're together. But we've seen this before as well.
Yeah, I'm very concerned. And I think Sarah's friend is also very concerned the way that she talks to her about her past and getting involved with men who try to control her and she doesn't see it. And that's why I wanted to know how quickly things have evolved in this relationship. Because if she's the kind of woman who, or person, I shouldn't segregate it to women alone, men do this too. If she's the kind of person who jumps into a relationship so quickly because she needs that affirmation, she needs to feel affection and love so desperately that she'll be willing to accept somebody who is controlling, who tries to take over her life, and she just can't see it
I
because
was
it happens so quickly.
I was grateful for her friend Nicola being there. First of all, Nicola's voice was very calming. I just the second that she started talking, I was like, I honestly don't care what you're saying. I just love like the cadence of her voice, the tone. It's really relaxing. And then she comes out being this emotionally intelligent, supportive yet blunt friend who just wants the best for her friend, but she's asking the real questions. She's asking super valid questions, ones that should be completely eye opening.
Mm-hmm.
Did it actually get through to her? I'm not entirely sure how receptive Sarah was to this information and this. I don't want to say prodding because I don't think it was like in that negative sense. I don't know. I hope it opens her eyes, but I don't think so. And then she said that Marco still lets her dance.
Yeah, that was problematic too. There are so many little things that are propping up so quickly in Sarah's relationship with Marco that all indicate that this is not a healthy relationship at this point. Maybe it could be later on down the road, but at this point, it seems like it's very unhealthy that she's in a pattern that she's done many times before, that he is a man who is extremely jealous and very controlling, who will make her life not happy.
Especially if dance makes her happy, because she also
Yeah.
mentioned that one time that she went out dancing and he saw and he left and didn't talk to her until the next day.
That, like, why can't you find joy in what your partner enjoys doing and what they excel at rather than feel, oh no, this is an affront to me and she is flirting, she's cheating on me, she's doing something wrong. Whatever his thought process is, I just don't see that he's the kind of person who can respect and admire his wife or girlfriend without feeling like there's some danger inherently in that activity that could make their relationship fall apart.
Why doesn't he engage in the dancing? Why doesn't he learn? Why doesn't he do it with her? And
Yeah.
then that takes all the other men out of the equation. Is it the type of dance? Would he prefer a different kind of dance that is less intimate, I guess?
I don't know.
I,
It's just not good.
red flag factory again.
Yeah. That's about it for those two. We're going to have to wait and see what happens,
Well,
what develops.
they're brand new, so we only
Yeah.
have a couple minutes worth of a snapshot.
Reading on, back to Finn and Sandra. They take some time alone to talk about the party the night before, the disastrous family party that Finn did not enjoy one bit.
Awkward.
But I loved the way he spoke to her. He was so well worded, unlike me this morning.
Articulate.
Thank you. He was so expressive, so articulate. He conveyed his feelings to her honestly, openly, very directly, without hurting her. It was just lovely the way that he talked to her.
I felt the exact same way.
And he expresses how he felt alone and disappointed in her not being with him at the party. And she just dismisses it out of hand and says, "You weren't even trying. Everybody thought that you weren't even trying. You don't know how to speak the language." She praises her family for trying to include him in activities that he didn't want to have anything to do with.
And physically trying to pull him off of the couch, you think that's involving and that's, being kind and welcoming?
I did not understand her perspective at all. Up until this point, I was like, okay, Sandra and Finn seem well matched. But here I was like, whoa, this disconnect where she's not willing to look through his eyes for just a moment and realize that, yes, his feelings are valid. He did feel alone and he just wants that to be acknowledged. But instead for her to react in this way, this is a bit jarring.
I got the "that's who they are and my family can do no wrong" vibes.
Yes, I also got that, and it made me think perhaps in her previous relationship, in her marriage, she was with somebody who was very critical of her family, and so she's reactionary in a way that Finn doesn't deserve, but perhaps that other person did.
It could be that. It could just be she's so overprotective of her family and her relationship with her family that she's going to kibosh any judgment against them from the very get-go without
Yeah.
actually, as you said, seeing it through his eyes from his perspective.
Yeah. The other thing that Finn brings up is the fact that he discovered that night that Sandra wants to have more kids with him. And she says, "Yes, it's true. I actually want to have 5 children." Again, why have they not discussed this before? Why is it being brought up now? If she knew that she wanted to have a total of 5 kids, and she also knows, because it's very, very clear on Finn's part, that he does not want to have any kids at all, why has she not discussed this with him?
And she even acknowledged in one of her individual segments that she knows that he doesn't want to have more kids. So then what's her goal here? She wants to marry a guy who doesn't want more kids, who doesn't even want the kids that she has at this point. And like, what's her plan? Is she going to baby trap him?
I don't know. I just don't understand where she's coming from, because if she loves him so much, then she should be able to accept that he doesn't want to have more kids or kids with her. And so she's just got to work on building the relationship between him and her kids that she currently has. But it doesn't seem like that is an option for her. It's just, you have to accept my kids and I want to have 3 more. I don't care about your feelings. Doesn't matter. I want to have more kids.
I didn't see this coming from her beforehand. So
Yeah.
I was really taken aback by not just her statement, but by how boldly she stated it, like how factual it was for her.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, then we see Finn, expressing his emotions and how he felt at the barbecue and how ostracized he felt during her argument with her kid. And she's so confusing because she said, like, this was the argument between her and her daughter was none of his business.
Yeah, that it was a total backtrack on everything that we've seen so far.
Yeah, why aren't you trying to foster that relationship instead of, leaning into this barrier, which is the language divide? And Finn even said, had he known the language, this wouldn't have been a problem. So now he's endeavoring to learn the language, and I think that's absolutely phenomenal. Though, yeah, I was just really confused by how she presented that.
It was incredibly contradictory to everything that she's stated so far. Because how can she want him to be a part of her family, a stepdad, a father figure to her children, if she's going to shut him out of any confrontation or anything where he's not able to understand what's going on? Simply because he doesn't understand the language. Telling him that it's not his business, I thought was a huge misstep.
Mm-hmm.
If you are hoping to build the connection between your children and this man who you hope to marry, then he has to be included on all family things, not just when it's convenient or appropriate or whatever she thinks it is, because this just helps to make him feel excluded. Just as he was at the party, now he's being excluded out of his own little family unit.
And also, why wouldn't she want to talk to him about this seemingly very emotional argument with her daughter? It's something that happened in her life with her kid. Why wouldn't she want to share that with her partner?
I don't know. She's so hard to understand. I don't get it. And then we do go to the orphanage where things become a little bit more clear, at least insofar as her past is concerned. But again, if I feel like we're not quite getting there. Like, even though Finn seems to have the least experience because he's never been married, he's not had kids. He doesn't really talk about having had long-term relationships aside from Sandra, and she's obviously been married, had kids, and all the things. Yet he seems to be more mature than her, which is so fascinating. You know what's another good example of his communication savvy is when he talks to her about his own reaction. He's aware of the fact that he laughs in awkward situations, and that's a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism for him. But
Mhm.
she just doesn't get it. She's like, "Well, you shouldn't laugh." But he's explaining to you why he does it, and he understands that. He's communicating it to you, but you don't acknowledge, you can't acknowledge. It's very one-sided.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, I don't understand it, but thank you for explaining that to me. Because he said, I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm laughing because I feel very awkward.
Mhm.
Been there, sir. Been there. Very inappropriate at times, most times. Though I I definitely understand how uncontrollable that reaction could have been in that moment. It's almost like an exasperation laugh as opposed to like a, oh, this is hysterical. Har har har.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's not a laughter out of funniness. It's a laughter out of wanting the situation to go away.
Yeah. And I can understand her blowing a gasket at him for laughing because, already being angry and then hearing that laughter, you're not going to hear the awkward laughter. You're going to hear what you hear because you're already in that state of mind. Didn't think it was appropriate that she yelled at him in front of the kids, but it was appropriate for them to, take some space and then come together to talk about it later. And she also made some mention about how, you're going to have to, watch the kids and take care of the kids sometimes, and something about actions over words. And to
Mhm.
me, I think they said a hell of a lot more than what his words ever could have said, because he makes that grand gesture of including the kids and going on that horseback ride and going to see the waterfalls and, talking to the kids the whole time, checking in to see if they had a good time, playing in the water. He's really, really making an effort.
Yeah.
He
He's definitely growing.
Mhm.
It's like watching a plant grow. You could see his development. He's getting there. And that is fantastic for all of them that he's getting there. I love that he pulls out all the stops for this final grand gesture with the family, with the kids. And he says it may be possible for him to be a stepdad, which is also a great step forward for him.
And he then said that he is sad to leave the kids and they're not that annoying.
Which is a huge compliment. Huge.
I think so too. He's not at that point where he's genuinely enjoying spending time with them yet. However, he's gotten past the whole, well, this again, with him having to put them or watching her put the kids to bed like 2, 3 times a night, and him just sitting there rolling his eyes like, this again? Are we gonna have to do this all night?
Mhm.
He's gotten past that now.
Yeah. Well, Sandra makes it clear at the end of their segment she needs more from Finn. She needs more time together. She needs more communication when they're apart. And she wants him to move to Brazil. So the question is going to be, I think, for the next part of the show for them, is he going to move to Brazil and how is he going to make this happen?
Well, he did say at the very beginning of this season, or before he even left for his trip, that this is the make it or break it. And now he's gotten to this point. What will he decide?
Shall we read on?
Yes.
Shannon and Mete.
Can we just?
Can we just what? Skip them?
Yeah.
No, we can't skip them. There's nothing wrong. This segment is actually pretty happy. It's not a bad one. It's not like the last 5 episodes. There's no bickering, right? There's no bickering. Mete brings Shannon to meet his family. We see her speak Turkish with them. Well done, Shannon. Bravo. The family, we learn, wants them to live in Istanbul. There's quite a lot of talk about how they wished that he'd fallen in love with somebody from Turkey, which was a bit.
And then love got in the way.
Yeah, and then love got in the way. But it's good that she can't understand what they're saying at this point because that would be a little bit sad for her, I think. And then Mete and his dad, who seems quite skeptical at first, go off into the kitchen to have a private chat. Mete reveals he wants to propose to Shannon. And initially, although this could be editing, Dad looks at his son like he's a lunatic.
Mhm.
Did you not feel that?
Yeah, he even said, "Are you just fooling around?"
He gave him this look and then he blinked a number of times. But then the words that came out of his mouth afterwards were something like,
"I'm proud of you."
I'm proud of you. Okay. Bizarre. And then the next day they go on the boat, which worried me because I thought, oh no, is this going to be the third proposal in Turkey where they take the boat ride on the river and then the bridge is illuminated with Marry Me, the way that we've already seen with Sarper as well as Mert? Proposal, those two proposed with the same trick. But thankfully, we don't go down that road. It's just a proposal on the boat with Mete on one knee. Okay, so we got a proposal.
Super romantic.
Are you serious? You don't
No.
sound serious.
No, I'm not. He just said, "I want to spend the rest of my life with you." And then, "Look over there." And then he gets on his knee and, "Will you marry me?" Okay. It almost seemed a little lackluster. I mean, I think the boat is the most amount of effort that he's put in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so why are you surprised that it was a lackluster, as you call it, proposal? Because we know he doesn't make much of an effort.
I'm not surprised. I'm just, this kid is like a dial tone, irritating dial tone. And going back to when they were at his family's place, did you see that spread of food?
Oh no, I didn't.
It all looked so delicious and so fresh. And my last comment was, "Oh my God, what are they eating?"
I don't know. I'm
Again,
sure it's delicious.
with 90 Day UK,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of food that they exhibit is glorious.
We just want to know what everything is. Except in the case of that sandwich they ate in the last episode or
Oh,
the
with
one
like the
before that.
intestines or whatever. And you know what I found strange about that was she says, "You're going to have to finish this."
Mm-hmm.
And yet you can see her sandwich getting smaller and smaller. And then she's picking at the little bits on her paper.
I wondered about that too, but I thought that maybe there were two things that she had on her plate, and one was the gut sandwich, and then the one was something else that was not a gut sandwich. And I
Oh.
figured she was eating the not gut sandwich thing. Because it didn't make any sense that she would say, "Oh, this is disgusting. I'm not going to eat it. You eat it." After a very valiant try, I was like, "Wow, she's great. She's a good sport to take two attempts at it, not just one."
I wouldn't be surprised if they swapped it out for something that she could eat as opposed to her just sitting there watching Mete eat two giant sandwiches.
Maybe. Anyway, the final bit of information we get in this segment is that the couple plans to live in Turkey. They're only going to visit back to England. So that was an interesting little tidbit.
Okay, great.
So she really needs to step up her game and keep learning Turkish. Reading on, we have Andrew and Arrah. Arrah? I never know how to say it.
I'm going to go with Arrah.
Okay, Arrah. Their connection really grows and has been growing. I don't know how much time has passed since the last episode. It seems like it's a big amount of time, but we're not told. So as far as we know, it could be the next day. But these two are getting along so well. Everything seems like it's going swimmingly. They meet with Arrah's best friend, Erica, and Andy has a very frank and plain talk with her about how much he loves Arrah. She also, as well as Mom, cautions Andy to take his time and not go too fast, not to rush into a proposal. I think all of this is falling on deaf ears, though, because we've got two people now that have said to Andy, the idea that you want to get engaged on this trip is maybe not so smart. I think he's going to do it anyway. And of course, that it is the next scene, basically.
Yeah, he doesn't listen. He didn't listen to our words of caution, even though it's already aired. I thought it was really fun how when they went out for dinner with her mom and sisters, I don't remember how many people were there, but he was saying something to her about how, her mom speaks 300 words a minute while eating a bowl of noodles and how impressive that is. My brother-in-law's family is Filipino, and I see it at family gatherings all the time. I'm like, that you guys are so coordinated.
So that's
And
a
how
thing.
can you speak so quickly and yet so coherently? I mean, I have difficulties with my own language, and it's my primary language, and sometimes I feel like it's the first time I've used my mouth, like, tripping all over my tongue and forgetting words. And
Yeah.
I find it very impressive. And she says, we're excellent at multitasking.
The dinner with the family was lovely. I found Andy
Yeah.
to be very respectful towards the family, and it seemed like he had gotten to know them quite well. There was that familiarity in the way that they all spoke to one another that only comes from spending amounts of time with somebody sufficiently that you get to, understand their quirks and what they like, what they don't like. So that was fantastic. It seemed very easy, very comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then at a certain point, Andy decides to leave the table. He says he just needs some air or something. And he goes out, and Mom follows him.
He
And
gestures to Mom from outside.
yeah. And once again, he's asking her, I need your blessing. I want to propose to Arrah. And at this point, having X question mark amount of time with Andy, she says, yes, okay, go ahead. You have my blessing. I just want to know how much time has elapsed. Is it 2 weeks? Is it 2 days? Is it 2 months? What?
Well, we have no idea. And also, how long have they known each other?
That
And then
too?
they have that little cut scene of 24 hours earlier.
Yeah.
And her mom is like, I think he's going to propose on this trip. And she's like, well, I don't know about that. We barely know each other. I think we need more time, blah, blah, blah. Is she just saying that because she doesn't think he's going to propose? Or is she saying that because that's how she truly feels? And I would lean towards the latter, because she has said from the very beginning, we haven't known each other for a very long time. And I do want to get to know him. So it's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
She's been consistent with that. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to get the proposal scene in next week's episode. We will have our answer in fairly short order.
I was surprised that he brought the box to the restaurant. Was it just a prop? Was it actually the ring box? How big is his, I don't know. Where did he keep it? Because I felt like if it was in his pocket, it would be poking him, and it's not a comfortable shape. It's not one of those velvety ones that, you can just slip in the pocket. It's a hard box with hard corners. I don't know. How
Okay.
often do I wear anything that has pockets? Let's be serious. What do I know?
That is all we get for this week, unfortunately. I
It's,
really wanted to go back to Xena, see how she's doing.
yeah, that woman seems to be a little bit more unhinged than we thought she was at the beginning.
Yes, I think we should talk about that because we did learn something very interesting. So, Amy sent me a text last night with a link to a conversation about the fact that Xena has been married before to a man from the Gambia, but that it all fell apart disastrously when she found out that he was already married and did already have children, the youngest of which was only 2 years old. So the relationships were definitely overlapping.
Yes, and she also said that he had two wives,
Mm-hmm.
or the Post said that he had two wives.
Right. Well, we are dealing with people who are Muslims, so that is permitted. It shouldn't be unexpected. I mean, we can see this with Ibrahim as well, that the woman who is supposed to be his sister and is probably his wife may not be the only one who is his wife.
Yeah, I think finding out that he is married would be one thing. To find out he has kids is another. And then to find out that he has a second wife, it's just so many blows at one time. Like, gee, oh God, makes me really question her sincerity when it comes to the purpose of her continuing to go back. Like, we don't know what the exact timeline is. I think the conjecture was that it was in 2024 that the marriage occurred. So that
Well,
had to have been after Abraham?
I don't know, but the reason why we know that this is true is because Xena actually put out a video of herself after things fell apart with this Gambian husband, number one, saying, please help me. This is what's happened. I've lost everything. I have no money. I can't get back to England. She started a GoFundMe. She was asking her ex-husband back in England to help her with buying a plane ticket. And clearly she got out of that situation because when we meet her on the show, she is in England doing this job sort of thing at the retirement house where she lives. So things did come back to normal for her. But the point is, she has been through all of this already, and she seems to be repeating the exact same pattern without having learned anything from her previous experience. So what does that mean about her state of mind right now as we're watching this with her interactions with Ibrahim? Is she that lonely? Is she that depressed? Is she that sad that she needs to go and find another man who will clearly just take advantage of her in exactly the same way that her previous, I hesitate to call him husband, because how can he be her husband if he was already married?
My question is, why didn't she have money to get home? Was her intent to move down there and stay?
I think she probably gave all of her money up to her husband for, maybe he was building a house for them or starting a new business with a taxi. Who knows? But she definitely is gullible enough to fall for whatever scam that these men are setting up for her to fall into. And she buys it hook, line, and sinker and ends up in trouble.
And the timeline really doesn't matter because either she fumbled with Ibrahim or she fumbled with the second one, but either way, it's now a pattern.
Definitely. Such an awful pattern, even with all of her family members around her in the UK, that they can't help her, and all of her friends too, because her friends were very concerned about her going to the Gambia for the second time, even though they didn't tell us it was the second time. Zena's not listening to them. She can't hear them, or they're not communicating strongly enough to her. I don't know where the problem is, but when you have a family as big as Zena's, you would think that there would be enough power there that they could get the message through to her and say, look, you did this already. It ended up in a complete, utter disaster. Don't do it again. And we've already got proof that he's lying. The Facebook, the single, the slutty ladies, the breaking of his religious strictures, all of that stuff shows us already that he's not to be trusted.
And the kid calling him Papa. Not knowing how old his sisters are.
Or his mother or his brother, and everybody actually being his children. Yike. It's so awful. I feel so badly for Zena that she's in this situation, which we thought was unique and this was the first time around, but no.
Yeah, and I think I said this yesterday, that she just seemed so, I wouldn't say put together because she's obviously made some bad decisions, but I didn't know that they were this bad.
Yeah.
Her sense of humor is really what drew me to her. And now it seems as though the humor is great, but what is going on inside her brain? What's her intent? What is she getting after? What does she need? What is she missing? And it just seems as though she's falling in that trap of that self-fulfilling, what is it? Self-fulfilling
Prophecy.
Thank you. Of just being hurt again. And is this because she's masochistic and she doesn't feel like she deserves anything better? Like, why does she keep going back? Like, those are expensive mistakes to make just for the flights alone.
And why hasn't she learned from it? Where's that? Where's that knowledge? Where did it go to? Where's that wisdom? What happened?
Yeah. And why is it the same place? There are other places that she can fly to.
Okay.
Very curious. But I think that seeing that actual video really made it real for me, because I kept saying, I don't want to believe that this is true. If there's a video, where is it? And then you found said video, and I was like, I shall eat my foot.
Do that.
I won't, but it's disappointing.
I get it. It is. Okay, I think that's a wrap for today. Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. If you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.